I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. This is only one Kenobi, only one. Oh, so I've watched the Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, which is, what is that, Chapter 14 now? Very good, really great. I've watched it twice actually. I watched it once and I wanted to come and do the review then, but I thought, well, watch it again because I was eating food. I wanted to make a few notes. I don't usually do this, but I watched someone else's review, which is Mr. H, and he can be savage, him, but the thing about Mr. H is I love how he loves this series. You know, it takes a lot to impress him. But it was just fantastic. Really, really good. I just go through my notes and talk to you about what happened. So basically, the first thing that you see in the episode, they give you flashbacks. Not just flashbacks to the previous episode. They show you flashbacks from series 1. And you think, oh, why are we seeing this? And obviously, it will link into something. Now, the first flashback was, if you remember in series Season 1, that episode on Tatooine when they had that, like, wannabe bounty hunter guy trying to get into the guild, and there was that sharpshooter in the hills that they were trying to get, and we thought she was dead. You know, they left her for dead or whatever. But I didn't quite fully notice this a year ago when I watched that episode. But somebody comes out of nowhere, and you sort of see their legs walking towards her or whatever. And I watched this, series. I can't even speak. I'm just all over the place. I watched Season 1. About a month ago or whatever, and I saw that, and I didn't even notice it a year ago, as I say, and I wondered who it was. Could have been anybody. I thought it was maybe Gideon or somebody like that. I don't know. Now we know who that was. It was Boba Fett, because obviously we know now he's on Tatooine anyway. So that's the first thing you see, and she is part of this episode as well. First thing that happens in the episode is you've got Grogu in the cockpit with the Mando. They're playing with the ball again, and he says his name as well, Grogu. And he does that thing, you know, he responds, and he sort of finds that funny man. He's like, so he knows his name, and he's playing tricks. He wants to see him get the ball again like he did with Ahsoka using the Force. He finds it fascinating, obviously. No time is wasted. They travel to the site that Ahsoka told them to go to, which is the planet with the stone, or the kind of, the temple or whatever it is. So Ahsoka, you see her in the flashbacks as well. They fly down to the planet, and there's a kind of a Stonehenge on the top of the hill there, which is quite good because obviously now we know from Rogue One and we know from Vader's castle that, you know, Force-sensitive areas, they have kind of structures and stuff can obviously draw in points of sensitivity with the Force or whatever like that. So obviously this is at the top of a hill. He puts him on the stone, and then you wonder, how is this going to go? You know, he says, come on, kid, you know, do what you got to do. And you think, well, is he going to do anything? You know, you saw what he was like in the last episode. He wouldn't even levitate the ball for Ahsoka. Then you see, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You see the Slave One flying through the air. It is undeniably Slave One. You can see the paintwork. Mando gets a little bit worried, and he says, you know, I can't remember if the child had started meditating at that point. I think the child was just sat there. Mando goes to investigate. It is the Slave One. Before you know it, there's a force field around the child, and he's like proper full on in the zone, levitating, what is the word? Meditating, sorry, excuse me. He's meditating, and there's this kind of like force field all around him. He tries to get him out of there, I think, and he can't get out of there. It is Boba Fett. He looks down, he sees a guy with a cloak, and he says, I've been tracking you, Mandalorian. And all he basically wants is the armor. He thinks he's after the child, Mando, but he says, no, all I want is the armor. He asks him as well, he says, are you Jedi? And he says, no, I'm not a Jedi. He also says this as well. He says, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the galaxy, like my father before me. So there's a double nod there. It links to Attack of the Clones, what Jango said, and also it links to the original trilogy with, you know, like my father before me, I'm a Jedi. You know, that kind of subtle dialogue there. He asks him if he's Creed. He says, no, I work for no men, of which Mando don't like the sound of that. He's saying, well, you need to give me the armor. It's quite an uncomfortable showdown. You think, you know, what Boba Fett, he looks like he's going to not be reasoned with or whatever, and it's going to be an all-out conflict. He says to him, I'm with the sharpshooter. He points up, and it's the sharpshooter I just told you about before. She's on the top of the hill with her sniper, and then she says, I never miss. And as you saw in that episode as well in season 1, she is very good as a sharpshooter. He says that she is locked in on your companion, you know, and trying to make a deal. Mando doesn't like the sound of that. He has the, whatever those things are called on the wrist, you know, the little bees or whatever they're called. And then Boba Fett just says, you know, come on, let's calm down. Oh, by the way, I'm doing this review here. Oh my God. You can't even see what's behind me, man. I'm doing this review here so you can see Slave One. I try my best to look at the camera when I do these things. I can't stand it when reviewers like look at themselves when they talk about what that. Nah, I'm trying to look at you, but sometimes I'm looking at. I can see myself just there. I'm trying to look at you. But anyway, you can't see what's behind me. Bloody head! You can see Slave One is right there, and also Pan. Look at this. Boba Fett's helmet there. You see all of that in this episode. Moving on, let's get back on track. So where am I up to here? God damn it. Yeah, so he says, let's have a chat, you know, let's just calm this down. And you think, well, that's quite nice that we don't want to see two cool characters going head to head. Our Mando and then Fett, you know, and they lay down their arms, they have a talk. They try to make a deal. Basically, the deal is this. He says, you know, I just want my armor, you know, if I really wanted to, I could get your child and make 10 times the amount for, you know, I could get 10 sets of armor, basically. But that's not what he wants. He wants his father's armor. Another ship comes in, and it is stormtroopers. They start to come up the hill, and there's a massive fight with them. The child is still on the stone, meditating. I think Mando tries again to get him out of there. Obviously, they have kind of made a sort of a truce, or they've kind of negotiated something between each other. That's Mando and Fett, and then the sharpshooter, of which the sharpshooter and the Fett take their side, and they start shooting down the stormtroopers. It was quite interesting. There was a stormtrooper with an orange pauldron. From what I know of Star Wars, that's the first time we've seen an orange pauldroned stormtrooper outside of A New Hope or anything like that. You did see regular stormtroopers in Force Awakens with coloured pauldrons, but apart from that, in regular Star Wars, stormtroopers were just stormtroopers. You never saw them wearing pauldrons. In fact, excuse me, I'm just sort of dipping into the collection here. Just like that, but now you do. You saw a regular one wearing pauldron. And I've been reluctant to put pauldrons on my figures here, other than Sandtroopers, because you just don't see that in any of the films, but now you do. Anyway, so they are chasing, and there's a bit of a fight. There's a brutal fight then with I keep wanting to call him Django. Boba Fett comes with his gaffy stick, his Tusken Raider gaffy, and unleashes hell. Smashes him up. Really, really good with that. It's nice to see him in close combat. There's a really good stormtrooper with a mortar, not orange, he had yellow armour, a bit like you saw the flame trooper last season. Now you've got this guy who's got like a little mortar bomb, and he's got like orange trim on his, it's just nice to see different styled stormtroopers as opposed to just seeing the white ones. I believe Fett, after smashing up a few of the Stormies, looks down at the Razor Crest, and the doors open, and you think, well, he's going to go and get the armour, and which he does. Straight after that, the Mando has another attempt to get the child out of the Force beam, and it doesn't work, you know, but he's obviously cares for him, wants to get him out of there. And yet another ship comes in, you see. This is the problem, you see. You think to yourself, my God, well, how many are they going to keep sending down? It was a massive fight with just the three of them. There's quite a lot of stormtroopers going on, and it is quite tough terrain to kind of battle them back. So another ship comes in. Mandalorian Din Djarin says to the child, obviously the child probably can't hear him, but he says, I'm getting the voices wrong, he says, I'm going to go and protect you, I'm going to protect you as best I can, or whatever. Straight after he disappears, the force field disappears, and the child's asleep, so you think, oh damn, he's just missed him, he could have saved him. If you excuse me, I'm just looking down at my notes here so you can see where I'm up to here. Where am I up to? God damn it. Boba Fett in... Oh yeah, then Boba Fett appears in the armour and finishes off with some great manoeuvres from him. Finishes off the rest of the stormtroopers, which is really good. The funny thing about that is all the stormtroopers just retreat. You know, they just think, let's get out of here. Fantastic. In they go to their landing craft, very reminiscent of the landing craft you see at the very beginning of Force Awakens, and off they fly. Boba sends off his backpack rocket, hits one of them, which then hits the other, and then down they both come. And then Din Djarin says to him, nice shot. And he goes, I was aiming for the other one, which is just brilliant, Subtle Star Wars humour, perfect, just right. The next thing that happens is really shocking. The razor, there's a blast from the sky. You see it come down, and then bang, it blows up, completely obliterates the Razor Crest. That ship is done. We thought it was going to be done earlier on in the season. Then it got patched up, obviously. It is now finished. It ain't coming back from that. Shocking. I hope he finds another one like that, because I love that ship. But anyway, whatever, we'll soon see. He needs to get himself another ship, by the way. That's one thing for damn sure. Above that shot, by the way, came from Moff Gideon's... Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted here. Messages are coming in. I should have put my phone on bloody... What do you call it now? Do not disturb. Anyway, Moff Gideon's Star Destroyer was up in the... or whatever, mini vessel, whatever you call it, is up in the sky there. And we cut to the ship, and then we see that Imperial officer, that cold officer, he sort of says to her, engage the Dark Troopers. The Dark Troopers come down. I'm not quite sure what I make of them. I don't know. You're going to have to educate me in the comments. I don't know if they are part organic or they are robotic. So let me know what they are. I know very little about what Dark Troopers are. You've got Shadow Troopers, Dark Troopers, Death Troopers. All I know is they look badass and they're black. And these guys have got red eyes. I don't know what they are. I'd love to see what they can do in the upcoming episode and yada yada. If they were, say, something that's been brought into canon, some people might be very excited about that. Novel readers and stuff, people who know more than I. But anyway, they grab the child, and Boba Fett follows in Slave One. He says something like, he says affirmative. I don't like him saying words like that, Boba Fett. But anyway, that doesn't matter. He follows, and he says something like, I'm going to follow them on, light mode or something like that, as in, because I know the Slave One has got the capacity for stealth. It's got certain things on it that help with following and trailing and cloaking devices. I don't know. But anyway, you think, God, that you don't want it. He might be getting blasted out of the sky next. But no, what happens is he follows and he sees beyond the clouds, he sees Gideon's freighter, it's not a freighter, his ship. And he says, they're back, the Empire's back. He can't believe it. He didn't realise they'd be in such full force. So off goes Gideon, light speed. Pew! Fett comes back down. They assess the wreckage, of which Mando finds the Beskar steel. He also finds the little ball, which I thought, there's nothing left there. It's just a hole in the ground, basically. But then he still finds the little ball, which is just sentimental, obviously. But not surprised he found the Beskar steel spear, because we know how hardy that metal is. He talks a bit more, and then Boba Fett then speaks more about Jango Fett. He says, I'm not a Mandalorian, but my father was a foundling. So now we know that Jango Fett was a foundling. I'm not sure if that was ever clear in the original trilogy or scriptures after it. And he also fought in the Mando Civil War, he said about Jango Fett. Do you know what? Jango Fett is right here. I love Jango Fett. I love Tamora Morrison. There was a few shots of him in this where he looked amazing. There was a few shots when you thought he was we're all getting a bit una barriga. Tiene una barriga. Tengo una barriga también. I've got a bit of a belly going on, but we all do when we get a bit older, I guess. But he looked in good shape, man, and he looked pretty cool rocking that armor. He looked better than the other fella on Tatooine. He did not look right. He did not look like Boba Fett when he wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be just somebody wearing his armor. But anyway, he was brilliant in it, though. Really good. Tamora Morrison kicked ass. Where am I up to? He explained about the Mando Civil War, the fact that his father, Jango, was a foundling. So it gives them more of a connection. So he kind of explains to him, I can have the armor is mine. And of course, Din Djarin says, the armor does belong to you. If only he'd said that earlier, then it would have saved a lot of carnage or fighting initially. He also explains to him, Boba Fett says, we are in debt to you. We made an agreement that we would protect the child. So it's nice to know that they are going to go on together. The next bit, I just laughed out loud to myself, just because I was just sat there thinking, this is just effing amazing, this episode. Gets inside Slave One, and they fly off to Navarro, and I just thought, this is just insanely good. So you see Slave One flying There it is. You see Slave One flying, and it was just incredible, really. They meet up with Cara Dune, who is now a New Republic marshal, because she was a marshal before, wasn't she? But she's now official. He needs to get hold of Is it Mayfeld? One of the two. Which is the guy that you saw in the Prison Break episode of season 1, which is episode 6. That bald guy, played by that actor, forgotten his name, sorry, he's a comedian, isn't he? Anyway, whatever. He needs him to help track Gideon's ship. Cara Dune says, I hate the Empire, but, and now I've got these stripes, I'm New Republic, there's certain things I can and can't do. Then we cut to the child on the ship, and Gideon's there going through light speed. He then walks to the cell where the child is. There's carnage going on in the cell. The child is like ripping apart these stormtroopers, like using the force and smashing them together. Gideon just sort of stays back and watches it all. The guys were going to stun him or something. After the child does what he does, I knew what was happening next. He gets sleepy, doesn't he? And then Gideon goes up to him and says, it makes you ever so sleepy. Or whatever. He even shows him the Darksaber. Ever seen one of these? And he says, you can't play with tools like this or whatever. And then he says, what you need is a long sleep. And then he gets his stormtroopers to shoot him with the stun gun thing, the blue, just like the one in New Hope, that kind of stun gun. And then that is it. God, I've been all around the houses, but I just found it a fascinating episode. It was really good, shot so well. Rodriguez. Sorry about that. It was Robert Rodriguez. I do beg your pardon. I had to cut there. I just forgot. But really good action, good cinematography, all of that business. I'm more interested in the feel of everything. Obviously it's got to look good, and it did look good. Good location as well. I love that planet. With the stone, the henge at the top there. Whatever you call that. Amazing. Anyway, over to you. Let me know what you thought about it as well. I'd be very surprised if you weren't impressed or entertained at the very least by this. The thing is that it was only a half an hour episode, and so much is now opened up for this. It's just amazing. And every time I sit down to watch this program, I think to myself, is it going to be good? Are we going to be stepping back? Because last episode I thought was incredible with Ahsoka. This absolutely blew that away. It just goes higher and higher and higher and higher. When is the point where it's going to go down? I hope it doesn't. I'm sure it's just, actually, to be honest with you, the whole series is probably just going to be just like one streamlined jet, just coasting at a really good pace. I hope until it no longer exists. You know what I mean? It's just fantastic. Thank you for watching. I have been Only One Kenobi, Only One. If you are new around here, subscribe and tap the notification bell and hit the like button. Have I said everything now? I think I'm going to wrap it up. And thank you for watching. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one. Out with a different accent there.